在这场防疫战中啊，不只是第一线的医护人员是非常的辛苦啊，在统筹各种物资跟生产的经济部，以及第一个时间支援的国防部，还有我们制造口罩的厂商，这每一位啊，都让台湾社会感到安心。那么他们都是最可靠的资源的战力啊。那么现在我们不只是看到成果，更有许多的国家现在开始注意到台湾，所有的成绩都是因为我们是预先规划，提早行动。
That is an excerpt of a short video published by President Tsai of Taiwan, showing how months ago Taiwan knew it couldn't rely on the World Health Organization and their bad advice and China's disinformation. They had to protect themselves. It's a small thing, the face masks, but they make 10 million a day, and they have a very careful rationing system to avoid people buying them all up and hoarding them. Any mask is not particularly valuable, but it's valuable if you don't have one. In Taiwan, they have a system where people stop by their local pharmacy, almost like picking up a weekly prescription. They get a little envelope with their masks in them. It's one of the many ways that Taiwan has learned to deal with the dual threat of the biological virus itself, but also of China's authoritarian political system that hides information, covers up, almost in the manner of Chernobyl, when the Soviet Union covered up their disaster there. I think we have a lot to learn from Taiwan, a country of 25 million people just across the Strait of Formosa from China, so integrated with China. Almost 1 million Taiwanese people live in China. I think the number is 800,000. There, at least until recently, were extremely frequent travels between the two countries, and yet the number of Taiwanese who contracted the virus is measured in very low numbers. The number who have died from the virus is a grand total of 5. As I like to say, more Taiwanese are at risk of being struck by lightning than catching the coronavirus. And it's not because of luck, it's because of their planning and their system. Well, we wanted to send a reporter to Taiwan to report on it, but alas, part of their strict rules are that even foreigners like us who promise to take the virus test immediately before going there would be subject to a 14-day quarantine, and we couldn't go about our business of reporting the news. Well, we've done the next best thing. We have found an expert in Taiwanese health who's actually based in Vancouver, Canada. She is the president of the National Taiwan University Alumni Association in Vancouver. She's a nurse herself and a PhD. Her name is Dr. Lyren Chiu, and she joins us now via Skype. Dr. Chiu, what a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Have I accurately summed up Taiwan's mindset? Because Taiwan is really alone in the world of health authorities, because it's marginalized by the United Nations and the World Health Organization, and because it suffered from communist China's secrecy during the SARS epidemic, it's really had to make its own command center approach to the virus. Is that right?
Yes. Taiwan is not excluded from the global conversation because Taiwan is not part of the WHO, not even an observer of WHO. So Taiwan has to do it on its own.
Now, that has meant a lot of work and a lot of effort to replace the World Health Organization, but I think in this case, it meant the very fact that Taiwan was excluded means it didn't get bad advice. It didn't trust the disinformation from Beijing. Is that your view as well?
Actually, Taiwan did their own investigation. You learned that on December 30, 2019, China informed the WHO about unknown virus, which occurred in Wuhan. Around this time, Taiwan also heard about this news, not direct communication with WHO, but they get that information. So Taiwan sent a representative to China to investigate the virus and its spread. Right after the investigation, team returned, Taiwan instituted surveillance on passengers who were flying in from Wuhan, China. So, and the first case appeared on January 21st. Learning from experience, the SARS experience back to a decade ago, Taiwan quickly mobilized resources and instituted the National Health Command Center that you just mentioned for case identification, for containment, for resource allocation to protect the public. And what is one of the strategy is, I think we can share with the world, is Taiwan use big data, new technology, and proactive testing. And this is a little bit challenging for North American because when we concern about privacy, confidentiality, because Taiwan has leverage with national insurance program, National Health Insurance Administration, so they get the data, so they can track the visitor and identify case.
So let me see if I understand that correctly. So if you were flying to or from Wuhan in January, Taiwan would know that you're flying, obviously. We know who's flying in and out of Canada too. And it would match it with your health records if you had an underlying condition. If you had respiratory issues, if you had diabetes maybe, if you, obviously your age. So it would cross-reference who's traveling and who's at risk. Is that correct? So that would be matched. And if they found someone, they wouldn't ban them or lock them up. They would maybe test them or warn them. Am I reading that correctly?
Correct. They assess the travel's risk. They will look at their symptoms and look at where they come from. So they identify 3 different types of sick and give different advice. Then they will follow using the phone, QR code scanning, and of course also online reporting to track the person.
And so let's say you were someone who was old and had a history. Let's say you were 75 years old, you had a history of respiratory problems, and you wanted to fly to Wuhan, or you just came, let's say you just came back from Wuhan.
You just came back from Wuhan.
So tell me what would happen to that person.
So if this person showed the symptoms, so this person will be sent to quarantine. So Taiwan do very early quarantine for the suspected cases. And in the beginning, we send it to them, but later they provide accommodation and food to the person, but not in the beginning.
Got it. So quarantine wasn't just on the honor system. It was like tracked and monitored, and you said they provided food and other things. So it wouldn't just be on Scouts Honor, as we say. Someone would go and check on them and make sure they didn't leave the house. Is that what you mean? They would bring the food to them, maybe even with protective gear. Is that right?
Actually, they can track through their phone, so they know if they stay home. They know if they stay in a particular place.
Oh, so they track it with the phone. So you've got their travel data, you've got their health data, and then you have your phone GPS. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you will find locate where is the person right now, and so that is the beauty of the technology. So you will make sure the person is not fooling around, go around, and to contact people.
Now, the North American sensibility of individual freedom would be worried that their movements are being tracked. Taiwan has a different national mindset. I've had the pleasure of visiting Taiwan, and of course they know they're really in a battle with Communist China. How has this lack of privacy, I mean, I suppose that information isn't shared to everyone, but I presume it's the government knows where you are. Do Taiwanese people accept that? How does that go over in terms of personal liberty?
You probably already know Taiwan is a democratic country. And so in order to get those data, Taiwan has to leverage with National Health Insurance Program. and administration. And also the Minister of Health and Wellness update everything and give the public education every day, and so the public understand, and so public don't feel intruded or don't feel it's very fearful. So that is also very important, the reassurance, the education, and etc.
Well, I think part of that goes to if the ministers and the politicians are credible. In Canada, we've had such strange advice. The first piece of advice that Patty Hajdu, our health minister, issued was run out to the stores and buy up all you can. She literally said, buy a stockpile. That was crazy. Her advice since then has been, don't wear a mask. And that's what I really want to ask you about. I've seen pictures of Taiwanese schools. The kids are going to school, they all wear the mask. At lunch, the mask comes off and they have a little plastic shield around them so they're not spitting or dribbling or something, or coughing. And then the mask goes back on after lunch. Restaurants are even open with some spacing. So I want to ask you about masks. We showed at the beginning the video of the 10 million masks a day. I'm so jealous. But you not only, like, you've had 5 deaths, and of course any deaths is a tragedy, but in the scale and scope of things, 5 deaths this year is so modest, it wouldn't even be news if it weren't for the pandemic elsewhere. Taiwan has had 5 deaths grand total, but you're still letting people go out and about, and you're still letting kids go to school, and you're still letting people go to restaurants. How did that work? Is it that everyone has to wear a mask rule? Is that all it took, the masks?
Yes, you can say that. And you all described correctly about Taiwan. So you've done a lot of research about Taiwan already. Maybe just provide more information about the mask. It's not just mask. In the beginning, Taiwan already prepared for this battle because they learned from the SARS experience. So they already prepared, so they know they need to prepare the supplies. The supplies is not just masks. Taiwan have 20,000 ventilators. Taiwan already prepared for that. Taiwan have 11,000, I think it's 1,100. Yeah, 1,100 negative pressure isolation room. And so Taiwan also prepare masks because masks, they believe it's not just for self-protection, and also protect other people. And also it's a kind of practice of social distancing. You know, Taiwan have 23 million people. It's such small item. People are there, it's so crowded. It's very difficult to have such required distancing between people. So this is also one way of practice social distancing. So not just self-protection. And also Taiwan researchers done a lot of research in the beginning. They learned that, because I learned that in January, in February, early February. I already know how this virus transmit to people, and we already know is airborne. This virus also airborne, and they also can stay on the surface quite a long time. And also you know that 86% of confirmed cases are symptomatic. So you don't know the person next to you has virus or not. So the best way to protect yourself and protect others is to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. Am I clear?
Such a simple thing. It's such a simple thing, such a cheap thing. I can only imagine the cost of a mask is pennies to make, and yet for such a simple thing, we don't have them in Canada. Our Prime Minister sent our national stockpile of masks to Communist China in February. I'll never understand that. I'm worried that we haven't geared up our manufacturing either. We've let 2-3 months go by, and We're not ready to even start making the masks at that scale. Is there anything Taiwan can do for Canada, either in lessons or in actually, if you can make enough masks, export them to us? I mean, obviously you have to take care of your own people first in Taiwan, and amazingly you have. I mean, what scares me, Dr. Chiu, is that Canada, like so many other countries, has marginalized Taiwan to please Communist China. If we had proper relations with Taiwan, we could have been learning all along. We could have traded in masks. We could have, like, I'm just worried that not only are we not wise with Taiwan's strategy, but we don't even have strong relations. We should be making Taiwan our best friend and coach, and God willing, even a supplier of masks until we get our own act together. I don't think any of that is being done, at least not that I've heard of. What do you think of these things?
You are so on spot. I just want to mention about masks a little bit. In the beginning, Taiwan already invests $6.8 million to create 60 new mask production lines. And right now, Taiwan have 92 production lines. It means Taiwan produce 130 million masks per day. And yesterday, April 1st, actually, because in Taiwan it's yesterday, but today is April 1st. On April 1st, the President Tsai already mentioned that Taiwan is willing to donate 1,000, it's a 10 million masks to those people, those countries in need. So
well,
that is one.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you, sorry.
And that is one way, because we are very happy to collaborate with, not we, I'm Canadian. I mean, Taiwan is very pleased to to collaborate with Canada to fight against COVID-19. So mask is something Taiwan is very willing to collaborate with Canada. And also Taiwan make very good masks. And recently, Taiwan already received also Taiwan is making the mask machine for over 12 countries. So over 12 countries send the order to Taiwan to make the machine for them.
Wow, is
so
Canada
this is
one of them? Is, you say 12 countries have asked for the mask making machines, and that's probably smarter. Taiwan needs its own mask machines to make masks for Taiwanese people. But if we just got the blueprints, or if you made an extra machines, we could set up factories in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Halifax, and Canada would be set. Do you know if one of those 12 countries is Canada? Do you have a list of those 12 countries?
I don't think 12 countries include Canada, but you can.
You know what? Justin Trudeau is so in love with Communist China. He's too proud to even ask the only people who've got it together. And you said that the amount of money for these production lines, I think you said 6.8 million US, is that what you said?
At that time, for 60 new mask production lines.
Trudeau spends that. Trudeau just gave $50 million to Greece for the virus. And you know, that amount of money could have built a mask factory in every city. It just drives me crazy to hear this. Listen, I know that that politics is not your business. You're a nurse, you're a PhD, and you're president of the Taiwan University Alumni Association in Vancouver, and you've given us a lot of information. You have confirmed for me that Canada's relationship with Communist China and our lack of a relationship with Taiwan is a serious problem for our public health. And it remains a serious problem today. The fact that we're not one of the 12 countries asking for help, frankly, breaks my heart. Dr. Chiu, I don't want to keep you much longer.
I have one more one to mention.
Yes.
Taiwan invests a lot of money in biomedical research. And on March 8th, Taiwan has a national team. They already announced they have a rapid diagnostic test on SARS-CoV-2. This test already been synthesized and successfully on trial. So the test requires only 15 minutes to see the result. So, and they are already been mass producing right now and will be on market very soon. So this is only require 50 minutes.
So a rapid test, 15 minutes to check if you have the virus, and you say that's been in trials and it's moving to production in Taiwan, is that right?
Yes, and it will come on market very soon.
Well, that's just another example of how we need to be friends with Taiwan, because we need to learn that. If that's a special technology, we need to license it and get it going here. We don't need Taiwan to make that stuff for us. Let's just do a deal with them where we can set up the factory here, get the, buy the rights, the Canadian rights to it, and get it going. I am so frustrated that we're not doing that yet, but I hope that in the course of time we do. I think it'll save lives. It'll obviously save money, but of course right now saving lives is the top thing. Dr. Chiu, what a pleasure to meet you today. Go ahead.
Interrupt?
Yeah.
I just heard a good news, because I heard Canadian government it's already announced work with Taiwanese top research institute called Academic Sinica to work together to fight against COVID-19. So maybe you want to explore further about this news.
I absolutely will, and that's news to me, and I'm learning more from you every minute. I'm going to investigate that, because maybe Trudeau has finally gotten over his romance with Communist China, and he's actually going to the Republic of China, which is the formal name of Taiwan, people who we can actually learn from and get help from, because Lord knows we need it. Dr. Chiu, thanks so much for your time today. Let's talk again in the weeks ahead, because I'm sure we'll still be facing these issues for months to come.
Good.
All right, have a great day. Thank you very much. There you have it, Dr. Lyren Chiu, president of the National Taiwan University Alumni Association in Vancouver. She was the head of the nursing department at a Taiwanese hospital and is a PhD. That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.